Fellas, when it comes to dating and relationships, we have to be working towards something. We need to be building something and working towards a goal at all times. A lot of you fellas are having dating and relationships and meeting and interacting with women for no reason. You know, a lot of you fellas are actually engaging in repetitive, cyclical behavior yourself. Remember, the woman is a creature of cycles. She repeats the same behaviors. And she's looking for a man who doesn't do that. She's looking for a man who is all about linear progression. But a lot of you men aren't about linear progression. You may be about linear progression, so you may be goal orientated and approach motivated in all other areas in life, but when it comes to the woman, you're not. You're very cyclical yourself. The woman wants to be saved from her own repetitive cyclical behavior, her own emotional turmoil. That is what emotional turmoil is. It's the psychology of repeating the same behaviors, because when you repeat the same behaviors, you don't grow and develop and you don't change. The woman has a deep desire to grow and develop and change. We all do. Subconsciously, the woman's body pushes her towards the things that can trigger change, trigger growth, trigger development. This is the reason why not meeting the woman's expectations and men who are bad boy archetypes, men who are player archetypes, men who are challenging, problematic, men who cause women trouble. This is the reason why women are drawn towards these men, because it gives the woman something to overcome. Overcoming troubling, difficult, and problematic things is how we grow. Overcoming pain and suffering is how we grow. This is the reason why women are attracted to men who present pain and suffering. So what I'm saying is, a lot of you guys, you may be goal orientated and linear in your business, in your money, in all other walks of life, but when it comes down to the woman, you're not. You're cyclical. And so what you need to expect, fellas, is if you can't save the woman, if you can't offer the woman salvation, if you are very similar to the woman in a sense that you are not moving anywhere in a powerful direction with the woman, then she will leave you. She will leave you. She will walk away one day. She will cheat one day. And so what you guys need to do is you guys need to framework your approach with women, because you may be listening to this and you may think to yourself, well, yeah, I don't want to move in a linear fashion with a woman. I just want to experience the pleasure, the comforts and securities from that woman. But then if that's the case, then you should expect the woman to walk away. You should expect the woman to cheat eventually. When I was a serious player and I had big rotations, 6, 8, 12, 15 rotations, I gave each woman around a year and a half. I knew I can probably keep you around me for a year and a half. If I wanted to keep them around me for longer, if I was to actually try, then I probably could have kept them around for a lot longer. But there was only a certain amount of energy, effort, and capacity I was willing to put into each woman that I was dealing with. All right, so I expected around a year and a half, she was going to go elsewhere. Around a year and a half, she was going to probably try to monkey branch onto another man. I expected it. And this built up the resilience that I have today. You know I speak to a lot of you guys and you guys are a bit confused why I don't really care when a woman moves on. I don't really care about a woman's promiscuity, because as I said, I expect it. It's something that is expected. I can't see no other way. I don't see no other way. It's not a surprise to me. It's not a surprise to me. I'm not surprised. If anything, I'm actually surprised when I'm dealing with a woman for a long time and she's not being promiscuous. That's more of a surprise to me. You know, so it's like, but I expect it. I expect the woman to move on. When you are not being linear with the woman, when you are only engaging in the things she sells, pleasure, comfort, and security, she's going to move on. She's going to walk away one day. All right. So, but when I speak to a lot of you guys are very confused about that. You know, you're not really interested in having any kids with this woman, and you're not really interested in pursuing anything monogamous with this woman. And I say as well, like, as a man, pursuing something monogamous with a woman doesn't even necessarily mean you're actually pursuing something monogamous with the woman. You're just, as I said, creating the experience and the circumstance. You're giving her a customer experience to where she believes she's pursuing something monogamous with you. You're putting her in a fantasy rap bubble. The woman is always in a fantasy rap bubble. You're just popping the current fantasy rap bubble that she's in, and you're curating a new fantasy rap bubble, one that you've created for her. The woman will always exist in a fantasy rap bubble. She cannot withstand the harsh realities of the truth. She cannot. So she's always going to be in a fantasy rap bubble. So there's always an element of wrapping her up in something. So you're either you need to be, what I'm saying, fellas, is you need to be moving in a linear way with a woman. Like, a lot of you guys, you'll meet a woman, you'll be sleeping with a woman, you'll be dating with a woman, but then you don't give her no children after a period of time. You got to understand, we have biological markers here. What I'm going to talk about today, I'm not going to talk about game or even psychology. We have biological markers here. And after a period of time, if a woman is simply with a man and she has not bared his children, her unconscious and her subconscious is going to communicate to her that you are a man that cannot give her a child, which is one of the most lowest value things a man could ever possibly be. Now, in her conscious mind, she's only going to feel this as an unattraction from you. There's a reason why women have a desire for novelty outside of their dysregulated, lustful, no end to their desire nature. They have a desire for novelty, which is a potential new mate, a potential new journey, and that shit is definitely going to kick in when she's with a man who's not giving her any kind of children. Now, this woman could be on the pill, and you guys could be fully agreeing that you're going to have no children. But the woman's conscious mind is weak. You guys spend way too much time with the woman's conscious, civilized mind. It's weak, completely lacking of any type of autonomy, any type of logical systems or rational systems or belief systems that make sense. So it doesn't matter what you've agreed with the woman. At the end of the day, her unconscious is going to be like, her unconscious, her subconscious is going to be like, this man is not providing us with any children. We're not moving forward in any type of linear way. Those are the biggest markers, brothers. Children. If you don't provide a woman with a child, she's going to leave you one day. This is just a fact. And I know that we often forget that children are so important because we have all of these other idolized things, these values, these civilized imaginations, these social imaginations, these values that we want to achieve in the real world, but we're still animals at the end of the day. So children is one of those things, but also we're supposed to be moving towards greater connection, greater bonding, greater intimacy, greater trust, greater respect. These are things that have to be grown. These are things that are built consistently. And so what you guys will find is it doesn't matter how attractive you are. It doesn't matter how successful you are. These things will not mean anything when you're not actually providing a woman with linear progression. It is the linear progression you provide the woman that saves her from her repetitive cycles. That's the salvation you offer. Your approach motivated, goal orientated psychology. Right? She's attracted to that psychology. She submits to that psychology, but then it's actually supposed to take her somewhere. When you grow in connection, in trust, in respect, in love, right, in intimacy, this is what makes the woman grow and develop. Because the only way the woman is going to actually grow and develop is through growing in intimacy with another person, is through becoming more vulnerable with you. This is the only way the woman's going to grow and develop, fellas. All of the woman's issues lay in the fact that she isn't vulnerable with herself. She lies to herself. When the woman isn't vulnerable with herself, there is no way she can be vulnerable with you. The woman's ability to be vulnerable with you directly relates to her ability to be vulnerable with herself. The woman who lies to herself can only lie to you. The woman who does not love herself can only not love you. The woman who does not understand herself because she rejects and denies truth can only not understand you. And she can only deny and reject truth. So, as a man, your overall goal with the woman is to help her into being vulnerable with herself. And when the more she's vulnerable with herself, the more she's able to be vulnerable with you. The woman who suffers with shame, well, she suffers with defense mechanisms. She suffers with coping mechanisms. Her ego, instead of using her ego to take steps forwards, she uses her ego to protect herself. So her ego is calibrated on defense. Her ego is completely calibrated on spotting danger. The woman isn't vulnerable with herself. Right? And so the only way that you can unlock this vulnerability is through intimacy. You know, this is the whole framework of the push and pull dynamic, right? So you punish the woman when she's taking steps away from vulnerability with herself and with you. And you reward the woman when she's taking steps towards vulnerability with herself and with you. So if a woman is dealing with you and a year, 2, 3 years go by and she's still the same person, she's still as vulnerable with herself as she's always been. You haven't led her emotionally. You haven't provided a safe space. You haven't provided containment so she can work on herself. You haven't provided any discipline, any punishments for her bad behavior. And you haven't provided any rewards for her good behavior. She's going to leave you. She's not receiving anything from you. Couple that with like the years are going by, and she doesn't have any children from you, right? And she doesn't feel like she's working any closer, and she's not working anywhere with you. A lot of you guys, you give your whole entire self to the woman. There's nowhere for her to go. The woman needs to feel like she's always making steps in progress towards something. She's got to be getting closer and closer and closer to your soul, right? And to earning your validation, earning your approval. Right? She's got to be getting closer and closer and closer to feeling like you trust her a bit more now. To feeling like you love her a bit more now. You respect her a bit more now. You admire her a bit more now. She's got to be working towards those things, working towards something. She's got to be growing and developing. All right? Remember, the entire framework, you have to understand, when you're dealing with a woman, your goal is 100% vulnerability from her. That's the goal. A lot of you guys, you don't know what you're doing. You operate under just pleasure. You operate under just pleasure, comfort, and security. That's all the woman knows. This is the reason why when a lot of you guys deal with women, you go backwards in life. You stalled in life. All the woman knows is pleasure, comfort, and security. So when you get yourself into an intersexual dynamic with the woman, all she's going to offer you is pleasure, comfort, and security. But what you guys do is you guys just have this type of relationship with her based on the things she offers. So it's just this whole, you just have this dynamic which is completely led by pleasure, comfort, and security. These things are cyclical. These things are cycles. So you're not going anywhere. It's not linear. Pleasure, comfort, and security is not linear. You're just walking around in circles. The woman's life isn't changing. This is the value that you offer, fellas. Doesn't matter how good looking you are. Doesn't matter how funny you are. How much money you are. If you continue to move around in circles with the woman who always moves around in circles, she's not going to be attracted to you anymore. She's going to want somebody else. Somebody who looks like they can take her on a journey. A journey to where? Anywhere else. Anywhere straight. Anywhere in a straight line. Right? The woman, you have to be working to something with her. A lot of you guys, you'll be working on your career, you'll be working on these things, but when you deal with the woman, you look at the woman just as a checkpoint. Now, listen, as I said, this is what I do. When I was deep in my player shit, I just had different women for different checkpoints. Different pillows for me to lay my head down on, different fridges for me to grab food out of, different cheeks for me to slap, caress, and just play with, different mouths for me to do a whole bunch of stuff with. Different voices. I just used to have women for checkpoints, knowing that, okay, well, they're going to find another man soon because we're not going nowhere. I'm giving them no kids. We're not growing in no intimacy. We're not growing in anywhere, right? I'm just taking them from the pleasure, comfort, and security they provide. right? But you guys who actually focus on a woman, love a woman, and you want one woman for yourself, and you're not dealing with any women, you can't do that. You can't treat how I treat number 8 on my rotation. If you're trying to have a one-on-one with a woman, you can't do that. You need to actually move linearly. And this is why I feel sorry for the fellas who are so hell-bent on not having any children. Because where you have your own moral issue or your own whatever issue that is, it's like, yeah, but then you can't compete with a man who is willing to give this woman children. You're really ruining your stuff here. What do you mean you don't want to have no children? A lot of these women, as I said, their conscious minds are weak. Forget about the things that they're saying. These women want kids. Do you know how many times I've brought some of my children around those types of women who are so sure that they don't like no children? They don't want no children. Do you know how crazy and broody they get? That they look crazy. Those women who are so sure they don't want no children, they look crazy around kids. It's like there's something deeply wrong with them. They're just incredibly damaged individuals who think that they're not gonna have kids, so they say they don't want kids. You go bring around a cute kid around them and they lose their minds. They want to dress them up. They want to do this with them. They want to draw with them. They find them so cute. They become obsessed with them. They lock in with them. They all want kids. They all want kids. They just don't think that they're good enough to have kids. They don't think that they're deserving enough to have kids. They don't think they're ever going to have a man who will stick around for long enough to give him a kid. So then tell themselves that they don't want kids. But you bring a cute kid around them and they lose their mind. They're in love with this kid. When we understand this, because when a woman who isn't vulnerable with herself, she will always deny herself. She will always reject herself. She will always judge herself. So she doesn't give herself permission to attain the finer things in life. So after she's done convincing herself that she doesn't want any kids, she'll just go and buy herself a cat and a dog, and she'll pour all of her nurturing energy into that cat or that dog. That's all it is. Or they'll go and find themselves a man, a player archetype, a bad boy archetype who doesn't do anything for her, an animal, a beast, and she'll just pour all of her nurturing energy into that man, someone that she can look after. And I told you in a previous video, the woman has a desire to nurture and look after something that she believes to be too uncivilized to nurture her. If that makes sense. That's what triggers the woman's nurturing drive. That's why the beast archetype works so well. If she looks at you as uncivilized, then she doesn't look at you as somebody who can meet her needs. So automatically, she will begin to meet your needs. Someone's needs have to be met. And there's almost this civilized qualifier that needs to be either met or not met. The walls she builds for others are also walls she builds for herself. These walls are more for herself than they are for others. The woman has more of a disliking for herself than she has for other people. The disliking she has for other people is simply a projection for the disliking she has for herself. The woman suffers with shame, and she is rejecting herself way before somebody else rejects her. She's judging herself way before somebody else judges her. This prevents self-awareness, and it prevents true intimacy with the self and with others. This is the reason why she's not authentic. And if she's not authentic with herself, she's not going to be authentic with you. She doesn't accept herself, and this is the reason why she doesn't accept you. She is a liability to herself, so of course she can only be a liability for you. If you watch my last video, the video I made yesterday, I talk about the woman's perfectionism. The reason why the woman has high, unrealistic expectations is because she doesn't want these expectations to be met. That's just a smokescreen. It's an illusion. They're holograms, so she can continue being the same weak, shameful individual who operates in cycles. The woman isn't vulnerable with herself, and for every inch she isn't vulnerable with herself, she's not going to be vulnerable with you, fellas. So when you're dealing with a woman, you need to be working towards the woman's vulnerability. Working towards the woman's 100% vulnerability. That's where you're working towards. The woman, subconsciously, unconsciously, when she understands that she's actually with a man who's making her take steps towards her own vulnerability, this is what increases attraction, intimacy, connection, trust, and respect. You need to be ushering her towards being more vulnerable with herself. And the reason why you even do this in the first place, fellas, is because you require her to be vulnerable with you. A woman can only be a good mother when she's vulnerable with herself. A woman can only be a good partner when she's vulnerable with herself. This vulnerability will project and affect those around her. She'll be a good partner when she's vulnerable with herself, because a good partner has to be vulnerable with you. A good partner can't be lying to you, manipulating you, subjecting you to control and abuse mechanisms because she operates in fear. A good partner is not going to be somebody who loses her mind in uncertainty and ambiguity. A good partner isn't going to be somebody who cripples and destroys herself under separation anxiety. A good partner isn't going to be somebody that doesn't want you to grow because you're afraid. A good partner isn't going to subject you to crap. She lies to you because she operates in lies. She's absolutely terrified of the truth. Truth is vulnerability. In order to accept truth, you need to be vulnerable. Truth exposes you. So you're not going to deal with something that exposes you if you're so used to scurrying in the corners when the lights turn on. You know, like a little mouse. You go into a room, you turn the light on, and the mouse runs to the corners to hide. You don't want no truth if that's your psychology, if that's your ego, if that's your nervous system. Right? You want to scurry to the corners and hide. Those of us who hide, deny, and avoid things, those of us with avoidant motivations, those of us who are comfort orientated, we live in lies. Lies offer comfort, right? And those of us who are approach motivated, goal orientated, empathetic, courageous, we operate in truth because we need the truth to be able to continue to move forward in that linear fashion. All right, so the woman doesn't like the truth. So in order for you to get the woman to like the truth, you need her to be vulnerable with herself so she can start to formulate a connection and a relationship with the truth. Once she's vulnerable with herself, that's when she can start accepting truths. And a funny thing happens, fellas, when you start accepting truths, it starts working in your favor. It starts working in your favor because what we want to do is we want to be able to use the truth to be able to get the things that we want. The woman needs to understand, okay, it's not better to manipulate him. I never get what I want when I manipulate him. Okay, maybe I need to stop my defense mechanisms because I never actually defend myself when I subject him to my defense mechanisms. Okay, maybe I should stop with the emotional warfare and the psychological manipulation on him because it's not getting me the things that I want. Maybe I need to try a different type of a way. The woman can only think like this when she's taking steps towards vulnerability. And this is the whole push and pull framework that I teach you guys, right? This is the thing. You guys won't be able to incorporate the push and pull dynamics that I tell you when you don't know what goal you're working towards. The push and pull dynamics, it's all about vulnerability, right? It's a reward and a punishment system for the woman's vulnerability. You reward her when she's being vulnerable with you, and you punish her when she's not being vulnerable with you. When she's taking steps towards being vulnerable with you, you reward her. When she's taking steps away from being vulnerable with you, you punish her. You push when she's doing good. You put away when she's doing bad. All right? When she's being truthful with you, direct with you, honest with you, when she's not being pathological with you, when she's going straight to the bush with you, you reward her. when she's being indirect, when she's lying, when she's being inauthentic, when she's manipulating you, when she's not displaying sincerity, you punish her. This is how we condition the woman. This is how we train our dog, all right, through push and pull dynamics. But you got to understand what the goal of those things are. It's the woman's vulnerability. By you training the woman how to treat you, how to behave with you, how to act around you, how to be in your presence, and how to be in your absence, through your successful teaching of the woman how to do these things, she will get all of the growth and development she needs. You will teach her. The man forces the woman into a state of vulnerability. This is the same concept of submission, fellas, right? The man forces the woman into a state of vulnerability. But in order for you to do that, the woman has to be vulnerable with you. So as a man, what we are doing, you are creating a safe space for your woman to be vulnerable with you. This takes a combination of push and pull dynamics, reward and punishment actions. It's a combination of those things. It's just like when you have a kid. Let me tell you something. My sons do not feel comfortable around the types of the types of caregivers that can't punish him, that can't lead him, that can't put him in his place. He can't. My sons feel incredibly comfortable around me because I give them both. I give them the love and the punishment. They understand, so they accept me as their rightful leader, their rightful superior, the emperor. They see me as the emperor, right? If that makes sense. And my daughters are the same. My daughter, she doesn't have tantrums. My kids don't have tantrums. They're very, very happy in my presence because they have both. They have the punishment and the reward. You know, they understand they have a competent emperor. That's how they perceive me. But elsewhere, they're always trying shit. And where they're trying shit, they're always more upset. They're just emotionally dysregulated when they're not around daddy. All right? Because no one else can get that balance correct. Right? The safe space comes from a balance. It comes from putting the woman back in her place when she's moving crazy, when she's moving compulsive and impulsive. When a woman is compulsive, she can't control her own actions. So she can know she's doing bad, but she can't stop herself. And she's expecting you, the leader, to be able to be the body she doesn't have, because the woman has like a mind and body split when she's compulsive, when she's triggered. So her body is not taking directions and commands from the mind. So for you as the man, when she has that mind and body disconnect, you need to be able to speak to her body. So her body's not listening to her, but her body will listen to you. Right? So she's expecting for you to be able to do these things when she's in those compulsive states. All right? So that's what the push and pull dynamic is, fellas. You got to understand. So you're working towards something. You're working towards a woman's vulnerability. You'll be working towards things with women. Right? You have to be growing the relationship. The woman has to be working towards things with you. When you're providing this experience to the woman is always simultaneously working towards things with you. So, and this is why I always say to you, a lot of you guys, you just give the entirety of yourself to the woman straight away. You've just met the woman and you're going to marry her in 6 months. Jesus Christ. How crazy is that? The woman's got nothing to work towards. What a surefire way to have no sex. The woman has nothing to work towards. She's always got to be working towards greater trust, greater commitment, greater loyalty, greater respect, greater admiration, greater connection. You know, there is no ends to how close you can get to another person, especially a woman. You're so intimate with each other. There's no ends to intimacy. And unconsciously and subconsciously, the woman understands that. So she's going to wake up one day and realize how far away you are from an ultimate connection. You know, we can become so close with another human being that we can read their thoughts, that we can be psychic with each other. That's how close we can be with another human being. We can read each other's minds. When you're very, very close to another human being, you're going to have belly laughter consistently. You're going to, honestly, you're going to have this almost spiritual connection to this person. When you're not working towards these things, and it's been a couple of years now and you're not there, then the woman knows that there's something wrong. You got to always be working towards something. And for the woman, through the woman's perspective, she always wants to work to a greater connection, closer intimacy. So she's always working towards that, but she has no idea that she needs to be vulnerable in order for her to do that. So what she's going to do is that she's going to break you down and make you as vulnerable as possible to make up for her lack of vulnerability. The woman who is 0% vulnerable with herself and 0% vulnerable with you is dealing with a man standing before her who is probably quite vulnerable with himself. And it's dark because where she can't make herself be more vulnerable with you. You have to make her be more vulnerable with you. If you're unable to do that, then the only thing she can do is make you even more vulnerable. She's going to make you so vulnerable to where you're barely sentient anymore. In my last video, I said nailing yourself to the cross and sacrificing yourself for her. That's what she's going to try to get you to do to make up for her 0% vulnerability. You need a 200% vulnerability mark. The woman is 0% vulnerable. So she's going to make you 200% vulnerable with her. Only for her to find out that, no, you guys are no closer towards growing in intimacy and connection because it requires for her to be 100% vulnerable. And you men aren't doing that. You don't know that. That's why she's still lying to you and you're still allowing her to subject you to some things. You're supposed to eradicate all of those things, all of those antisocial bad behaviors. You're supposed to get rid of them. As I said, through push and pull, reward and punishment mechanisms. That's the goal. You need her to be vulnerable so she can be vulnerable towards you. That's going to make her into a good mother. That's going to make her into a good partner. And you need her vulnerability to match your vulnerability. A masculine man is vulnerable with himself. He is vulnerable with himself. If the woman was attracted to you because of your masculinity, she's attracted to you because of your vulnerability. You wear your heart on your sleeve. That's what the woman is attracted to. The reason why you are courageous and brave and resilient is because you've had a lifetime of overcoming fear. You haven't run away from your fears, you've overcome your fears. And that marks you as a man. We can feel your spiritual pressure. We can feel your aura. We can feel your vitality, your grandiosity. We can tell that you're a man who overcame your fears. You're a man who spent a lot of time in your fears, battling dragons, slaying dragons. That's what the woman is attracted to. So chances are you're already a vulnerable man. I'm telling you guys, chances are you guys are already vulnerable. You're already vulnerable. And when it comes to dealing with women, in order to create a shared emotional space with a woman, you don't actually need to be in that emotional space. You just need to simply offer her containment and a space to where she can safely be vulnerable. That's it. She's going to feel like you two are in this shared emotional space when you're not. All you need to do is provide her the emotional space for her to be vulnerable. The truth of the matter is, if you are equally as vulnerable as your woman in a relationship, she's going to leave you. She's going to lose attraction for you for two reasons. Number one, you've exposed yourself as not being as strong as she thought you were. And number two, you're sharing that emotional space. If the emotional space is 100 square foot and you're sharing an emotional space with her, well, then it's 50-50, isn't it? You've got half, she's got half. That's not that great. What you want to do, give her the 100 square foot of emotional space. You don't need to share it with her. You just need to be able to provide it for her. You just need to be the person who's paying the bill for that 100 square foot of space for her. And she's going to feel like you are in there with her by your provisioning of it. By allowing her these things. Does this make sense? By allowing her to be vulnerable. Right? She needs to feel safe with you. So you need to be overcoming her shame. Overcoming her shame. This is how, and fellas, you got to understand what I'm saying here, right? Intimacy is something that actually grows, but you can't have her defense mechanisms, her shame, her coping mechanisms, and a lack of vulnerability with herself in order for your intimacy to grow and your connection to grow. All right. So what I'm basically saying is you got to be working towards somewhere with a woman, fellas. Right? You need to be working, moving forward. The woman has to always be taking steps forwards as well, trying to earn something from you, your validation, your approval, more commitment. right? The woman's going to be obsessed with your independence. She's going to try and take away some of your independence, right? I don't know. Make her feel like she can one day. You need to always have a carrot for her to work towards, something in the distance that she could take steps towards. She needs that. All right? And as I said, you need to be giving some women some kids. If you're not giving a woman any children, then you could be doing everything else right, but her subconscious or unconscious is going to start gravitating away from you. It's just simply going to think that you're impotent. It's just simply going to think that you have ED. It's just simply going to think that your sperm doesn't work eventually. This is a fact, fellas. It doesn't matter if you've consciously agreed that you're not going to have kids. It doesn't matter if the woman's taking a pill. It doesn't matter if the woman's fucking... Honestly, if even the woman's tied her tubes... She's around you for too long and you're not giving her any fucking kids. She's just going to lose attraction for you. Right? The subconscious and unconscious, it doesn't know nothing about any of these technologies. Just like, fam, how long have you been smashing this fella? It's not giving you no kids. It's time to smash his friend. Right? His friend who's giving his missus kids. You know, and then you've got to be working towards your relationship. You can't just be in cycles, right? You don't just enter into cycles where you're just doing pleasure, having pleasure. Oh, you're just meeting up all the time. You're going here, you're going there, you're going there. You're not growing anywhere. Yeah, you got to be building towards something, working towards something, all right? Is it a family? Because there's so many things to do working towards a family with a woman, keeping her busy, giving her incentives and motivations towards something. Start a business with your woman. Work towards making money with your woman. Do things with her. Grow in competency. Work towards somewhere. Take steps towards somewhere. You can't be operating in cycles. She operates in cycles. All right? You've got to be working towards something. A lot of you guys are worried about the woman's promiscuity, the woman's loyalty. Put a child in her. How your woman can cheat on you after she's got your baby is crazy. I truly actually believe you're going to earn the full extent of your woman's loyalty when she has your kid. Do you know how easy it is for your woman to not be promiscuous when she has your children? Like, you guys really just omit the whole child thing from the equation. Right? You're so worried about your woman going elsewhere? Give her some babies. Drastically reduces her promiscuity. Stop being afraid of these kids, fellas. Stop being afraid of these kids. You're a king, no? How the hell can you be a king of no dynasty? How does that make any sense? How can you be a king without no children? It doesn't make no sense. You want to live this whole life without no kids? That's crazy. Your own psychology, your own hormones will turn against you. Your own testosterone will be like, what? You ain't got no kids, mother? How come you ain't got no kids? All right, so anyway, that's a different video. You let me know what you think about the whole kids aspects. I know this is very triggering to people who don't want no kids, but it's like, then how else are you going to be able to make nature work in your favor? How else? What, you don't think that there is no return on investment from having children? Honestly, you know, I remember some feminists were talking about women don't actually use kids to lock down a man. Men use kids to lock down a woman. And it's true. It's true. You can't lock down a masculine man just because you gave him some kids. But we use it to lock down. You're afraid of this 8, 9 or 10 that you have being promiscuous? Put a baby in her. Anyway, guys, leave a like, leave a comment. Sign up for one-on-one coaching. Love you guys. Please continue to support the page.